Hamster and Gretel, the new show by Dan Povinmire, is out now on Disney+, so I decided to watch the first episode and let you guys know what I think. So Gretel and her hamster, receive superpowers from mysterious aliens. And her older brother Kevin, well, he thought he was going to get powers, but it turns out that he doesn't. It's Hamster and Gretel. So he kind of adjusts to his role as being the guy in the chair. And soon we see them, rescuing cats from wells, and Kevin leading the operation. But Gretel's a little hesitant to follow his lead all the time. We're also introduced to Kevin and Gretel's cousin, Fred, who is the best character in the show so far. I kid you not. And then they all go to the mall for Hamster and Gretel's signing, and Fred and Kevin hang out at the comic shop. It's revealed that Kevin, despite living a superhero story himself, still goes to the shop because he has a crush on the cashier, a girl named Hiromi. Because Fred is the best, she sets Kevin up with a date with Hiromi to go see the popular band Duck Boys. Kevin is overjoyed. However, just before the concert, a supervillain by the name of Professor Exclamation decides to take over City Hall. Gretel wants to stop him, but Kevin says it's the job for the police. Unfortunately, Professor Exclamation reveals that he chose this night because the police have the night off for the Duck Boys concert. Kevin decides to trust Gretel, and she proceeds to kick the professor's butt. But, just as Kevin is leaving to go back to his date with Hiromi at the concert, Hamster and Gretel are trapped by an energy field by Professor Exclamation. He tells them that the field is powered by the local power grid, and that even they cannot break out as long as the grid functions. This gives Kevin an idea. He hurries to the concert, and with Fred's help is able to go on stage disguised as a duck boy and deliver an epic song about everyone turning on their appliances, which has the intended effect. Of course, the other way to overload the local power grid would be to travel through dimensions going counterclockwise, but I suppose just singing about it was an easier option. With the power grid down, Hamster and Gretel are able to escape and defeat the villain. Hiromi and Kevin meet up as the concert is letting out, and Kevin gives the truthful explanation that he was late because he was taking care of his little sister. So I thought this was a really good first episode. I was worried when I saw the trailer. I didn't think it was very good. And I thought the animation looked cheap, but the show is much more enjoyable when you watch it as intended. And while the animation looks about 40% cheaper than Milo Murphy's Law, it was still made by super talented people who obviously really cared about what they were making. I am really annoyed that Disney just keeps cutting the budget for their shows. For some reason, the Dan Povinmire and Swampy Marsh shows. Why do they keep expecting Phineas and Ferb levels of success when they keep giving them a cheaper and cheaper budget? Granted, that's my own opinion. I don't have insider information or anything. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, at least they're better than Warner Bros. Discovery at this point. Oh, that's such a sad situation. Anyway, I loved the characters and the jokes were really funny. Firstly, there's Kevin, who works really well as the main protagonist. I'm just a sucker for those protective big brother types, and his relationship with Gretel is super wholesome. It's nice to see them just skip the plot about him having a crush on Hiromi for the whole season before they get together, and it's super awkward and stuff. Instead, they're just no, they get together in the first episode, and I'm sure we'll visit that more in future episodes. That's nice. And then there's Gretel. Gretel is super positive and somewhat naive, and I like how enthusiastic and earnest she is. I think it's funny how she hasn't told her best friend about being a superhero yet, because Kevin says it's not safe. There's this great scene where her best friend is interviewing Gretel the superhero. I mean, you should just watch it, it's really funny. And Gretel and Kevin have a really good dynamic. They really nail that brother-sister vibe. There's their cousin Fred, who is just my favorite character because she's basically Daria. And if you know anything about me, you know I love Daria. Fantastic show, Fred is a fantastic character, enjoy it anytime she's on screen. So in summary, I really enjoyed this show. It's got heart and wit and humor. I wish they had more of an animation budget. Let's see, do I have any further thoughts? I guess I like that they're kind of setting up an overarching story with the aliens. I think that's interesting. Milo Murphy's Law had an overarching story too, and that was a really good show. Like Phineas and Ferb, no overarching story, purely episodic. And they nailed that format. Milo Murphy's Law definitely had an overarching story, and I really enjoyed that show. They're both, I don't think I could pick a favorite. Phineas and Ferb is more nostalgic for me, but quality-wise, I really think they're equal. And I really hope that Hamster and Gretel can be added to that list because I really like it so far, but I'm gonna need a few more episodes to kind of warm up to it and see just how good it really is. but so far, very positive impressions. Dan, if you're watching this, great job. And everyone else who worked on it, great job as well. This is a really cool show. Do I have anything else to say? Oh yeah, they did confirm that this is in the same universe as Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law, although Dan says they're not planning any big crossovers right now. And you know what? I think that's for the best. Let this show just run for a season or two before you really concern yourself with crossing over. I think that was one of the flaws with Milo Murphy's Law, was that for its season finale in season 1, spoilers, by the way, I guess, for Milo Murphy's Law, it's like a 5-year-old show. They relied really heavily on this crossover with Phineas and Ferb, and then in the second season, Doof is a main character. I feel like it just detracted from the specialness that made that show unique. And I would like it if they just kept this show a little more on its own for a while. Not saying I'm opposed to more Phineas and Ferb or Milo Murphy's Law crossovers, but let's just keep them separate. Also, I mean, we've got Phineas and Ferb. I think it's getting another movie on Disney+. I'm looking forward to that. I really hope Milo Murphy's Law gets a 3rd season. I mean, if they could just wrap that up, it would be great. But I'm glad that Dan is still making stuff. I know Swampy's a little too busy right now because he has his own, animation studio, production studio. That's really cool. I think he made, Peg the Cat for Amazon and some other shows that I'm not familiar with, but that's neat. I guess this has kind of been more of a video about my thoughts on Dan and Swampy in general than specifically a review of episode 1 of Hamster and Gretel, but I think it's a great show. Also, fun fact, Dan Povinmire, creator of the show, voices the aliens in the UFO. Overall, though, I think we can call this a win for Disney and for their television animation department, of which I'm a big fan. I mean, they've produced a lot of really great cartoons over the years. Kim Possible, Amphibia, which is just one of my favorite shows of all time, Phineas and Ferb, Milo Murphy's Law. It looks like they've got a lot of stuff upcoming in their slate that I'm really excited for too. We got Spider-Man Freshman Year, Win or Lose, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, a new Darkwing Duck reboot, Haley's on It. A lot of cool stuff is coming up, and I'm excited to see it. And maybe I'll talk more about Hamster and Gretel in the future. If there's an episode that really catches my interest, I might make a video about that specifically, or maybe when the season is over, I'll make a review of the season as a whole. But until then, thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate the support. If you liked what you saw here, you can check out my channel for more reviews, or support me on Patreon for early access to exclusive content. Also check me out on Twitter and Instagram, plus my blog at callumquincreates.com. Links in the description for any update news on my channel, on my comics, on my art, writing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.